This is Alex and Maya Greenburg. They were friends with Dan Markel. In this part of their police interview, Alex describes what he thinks caused Dan to change how he was handling the divorce with Wendy Adelson.
I think through this divorce, again, it's his perspective that we know, but she was pretty unreasonable about a lot of stuff, and frankly vindictive and mean. She just did not, he would kind of agree. He constantly tried to kind of keep things civil, and he never, even with us, he shared details, and it wasn't ever really like mean to her. It was like he was upset at what she did, but there's a difference. Like you can get mad at somebody and talk bad about them. And
like he wanted to talk to the boys on Skype every day, even if it was her day with them or they with her. He expected her to call him to let him speak to the boys. I think that was in the agreement they were supposed to do 20 minutes a day. She wouldn't do that, and that bothered him, and she had a ring of his uncle's that he wanted back, and she wouldn't give it back, and she said if his uncle asked for it, she'd return it. Well, he asked for it, and she wouldn't return it. It was little things.
And he's like 98 years old.
Yeah, it was things like that I think once the custody agreement was settled, where it was almost 50-50, that's all he cared about to kind of settle the divorce. But once he had that custody locked in and he started thinking about those things, that's when he was like, well, I'm going to fight for it. I'm going to go back and I'm going to fight for this.
I think the change was the relocation, the conflict they had. When that happened, I think in his mind he switched to, because I do feel like before that he was kind of giving in to everything she wanted. He was just trying to save the idea that they were both going to be able to communicate nicely and raise these kids.
That's the word he used, co-parent.
And I understand her perspective in that she was trying to get away from him, and she, and here, even on her days with the kids, he's got to Skype with them. I understand it can be frustrating, but that's their agreement. But when that happened, I think it switched a little bit, and that's specifically what I want to tell you. I mentioned it at the memorial. I'm sorry I wasn't very much.
Oh, no.
I had slept 2 hours and driven a lot and upset, but that switched in his brain from okay, I'm done being nice, and and then he started thinking about all that, like Maya said, all the things that he kind of just got screwed over about, and something. And I don't know the details, but I think he was. I talked to him on Tuesday, the Tuesday before he died. We were at Panama City Beach, or I was at Panama City. She was working. She didn't come till late that night. But he called me, so I called him back, and he said, "I got good stuff to tell you. I got lots of big stuff going on." And I was like, "Well, now you got me curious, And he said, "Well," and he brought up his girlfriend in New York, just because they had last time she came down, they were.
They were
off a
little bit.
And
the girlfriend?
Yeah.
And so he went back to New York with her.
He wasn't going to go back. She was here for just a couple days.
She was here. She was supposed to be here for longer than she
was.
And she was spazzing out because her kid. She's recently divorced too, or I don't even know if they're actually divorced all the way yet. But their one child was at camp, and he has some
ADHD. He was diagnosed with ADHD.
Hyper kid, I guess, but she was upset about him, and so she was going to leave it. When she came, she agreed to come, but she was only going to stay a little bit, and then he ended up going back with her. And then when he came back, apparently they had some kind of good
breakthrough, everything. It was a good thing that he went with her.
Are we talking too much together?
No. Yeah. So there was a little bit of tension the last time she was down, and so then he felt like they worked it out.
They worked it out.
But I don't think it was tension like. Their tension was that she didn't want necessarily the relationship out in the open at that point.
Yeah, she didn't want to make it public.
She was like, I'm not even legally divorced all the way yet, that kind of thing. What's that?
Y'all met her?
Yeah,
yes,
we met her twice.
Yeah, we had
she
dinner with her.
Twice.
Yeah, when she stayed at our house the one time.
Yeah, the first time she came, we went to Williams in Thomasville, and then came back and they stayed there.
They stayed at our house. The second time we had dinner at Mosaic.
I don't remember what restaurant, whatever it is over by.
Mount Market Square. I think
there is a Mosaic in there.
So when the 2 times she's come, one time she stayed at our house, and the second time we just met them for dinner.
And she seemed fine
She's
to
wonderful.
us, but we really
She
liked
doesn't
her.
travel well. I'll just say she hates flying. She just doesn't travel well, so she panics.
Yeah.
Literally
But
panics.
they bottom line is I think they kind of finally agreed how they were going to handle everything, and like he said, he specifically said I made it kind of a breakthrough with Amy, and blah blah blah, and everything was good. And that case that he had going on in New York, he was excited about working on that. I think financially it was a good thing for him, and I think probably ego-wise, it's probably good for him.
Yeah.
And that's it. But and this is again, Amy's the one who told me this, but because I already knew about what was going on with his case, with the divorce case. And today I called to check on Amy, and she said that he filed all that stuff. I think on Thursday, the day before this happened.
That could
Or he
potentially
was
get
supposed to
Wendy
file it.
disbarred or something.
Yeah, there was a big
thing.
I can't remember every detail of it again. I'm not a lawyer, but I think she perjured, basically, is what it is. He said she did not disclose certain things in their
Financial
under
things,
oath,
under oath.
And I think going back, I don't know how big of a deal they were. I think some of them were some of the complaints were probably not that big of a deal, but he was
going to file sanctions
right.
against her lawyer.
And her lawyer even.
They
I
quit.
think her lawyer was going to be a problem. It was going to be in potentially some issues with her profession, and enough that I know the lawyer quit.
Recused themselves from the
her
case
lawyer
or
quit
something.
after he started all this, and then his lawyer quit or Danny said because he felt that lawyer felt bad for going after another lawyer.
Or I thought, didn't his wife work paralegal or something?
He didn't tell me that. He told me because he didn't want to go. He felt guilty for going after another lawyer. I don't know what you found out with the paralegal.
I thought, yeah.
Tell him that.
Well, I don't know, that one lawyer's wife paralegaled for another lawyer and it was a conflict of interest. I have no idea. That's all I know.
That's what you heard him say, something like
Yeah.
that?
Mm-hmm. I have no idea. Now, that's the only thing as far as like the whole Wendy thing.